What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. Let's move on to Knicks Bucks. So the Bucks played a really good half in the first half, and it looked like they were going to get back on track, and then they completely fell apart. In the second half, they gave up 72 points while only scoring 48. Main thing I saw on defense, the Knicks were just relentlessly attacking Damian Lillard. And this is a concept that I've talked about a lot on this show, but that we haven't had a chance to look at on film. And so what we're going to do today is go look at some clips to demonstrate how Damian Lillard can be a pretty devastating weak point in the Milwaukee Bucks defense. All right, let's get to the film. All right. This first example here, OG Anunoby is going to attack Dame on a switch. So OG's on Giannis. Josh Hart is literally just going to screen real quick on Giannis and then cut through to force Dame to guard. Okay. Now Dame's on an aisle on OG. As soon as he sees that he's got that opportunity, he's going to drive hard and then pivot over his shoulder and get an easy little mid-range jump shot. Now, that's going to be a theme that you guys are going to see a lot here in the film, is specifically finding a way to get Dame switched onto either OG or onto Jalen Brunson and to have success attacking him in individual actions. Here is an example of a ghost screen. Let's see here. So again, as we pause here, Beasley is guarding Jalen Brunson. Dante DiVincenzo is setting another kind of impromptu screen because he's trying to get Dame here, right? Dame is on his heels and way back. He's way too passive defensively. Jalen Brunson identifies it immediately and just attacks downhill and does his patented low gather move to get to the foul line and the foul. And that's not the last time. You'll see there's another example coming up. Like, a lot of those are where Dame is getting into his switches. He's switching passively way back on his heels, and he's just too small for that. And so they're able to get like a real head of steam going through him to the basket. All right, this next one is OG Anunoby going through Dame again. So the Knicks run some offense. There's a miss and an offensive rebound from I think DiVincenzo misses, or does it get kicked out? Okay, it gets kicked out. So here's where this is not so much a action designed to get us switched, but with the defense in rotation, Dame had to rotate to OG, okay? Now, the way that the cross matches worked here, Giannis is on Hartenstein and Brook Lopez is on Dante DiVincenzo, and OG Anunoby quickly identifies this and just drives on Dame inside, easily gets around him, gets into the lane, draws Brook in help, and makes the easy kick out pass to DiVincenzo, who hits a three in the corner. This one is not Dame, but it's a similar example of matchup hunting and just an example of how devastating Jalen Brunson can be as a playoff weapon picking on matchups. Here, he likes his speed matchup against Jay Crowder. Another kind of transition brush screen from the Knicks. They do this kind of thing a lot. Josh Hart does a little brush screen on Malik, gets the switch. Now it's Crowder. Now they clear the side. And he's just going to hit him with this patented little between the legs, or a little crossover dribble, makes a little bank shot off the glass. How about Josh Hart get in on the action a little bit? So Brunson's going up against Beasley. Now, Dame is guarding Josh Hart here, and Josh Hart identifies this, and they just, this is one of the most pitiful efforts to get over the top of the screen I've ever seen. Mitchell Robinson doesn't even actually make contact. He slips out of it early. Watch how Dame just concedes the driving lane. There was no contact. There was no screen. He just lazy kind of meanders over the top, easily allows Josh Hart to get downhill. That allows Josh Hart to engage Bobby Portis, which forces Jay Crowder to come off of one of the best shooters in the league, Dante DiVincenzo. It forces Crowder to come off to tag Mitchell Robinson to prevent the lob. Josh Hart makes the easy kick out pass to DiVincenzo in the corner, and he knocks down the three. Again, like, there's just got to be a little more effort there. Like, Josh Hart should not be able to that easily get to his spots in a ball screen. Not to mention, that's probably a guy you can duck under the pick on, if anything. This possession, the Bucks are in kind of like a matchup zone. So as guys are cutting through, you can see them talking matchups. But once we get into the late clock here, It basically converts to man-to-man. Giannis actually follows OG all the way up the floor. And now it's just one-on-one basketball. Brunson against Damian Lillard. His eyes light up, and he just immediately goes to work. Now, as he's backing down Dame, Jay Crowder is basically zoning up. He's come all the way over on the strong side, which is forced. He is basically forced Portis to come down and get inside position on Mitchell Robinson in case he shoots so he can get a rebound. This leaves Josh Hart completely unguarded on the weak side corner. Easy three. So once again, picking on Dame to bring multiple defenders into the equation. All right. Same sort of thing. Here comes Deuce McBride. Let's get Dame switched on to Jalen. Got the switch, and now it's just I'm downhill, easy getting to my spot for the floater. This one was interesting. So at first I was like, okay, maybe this is the scheme. So Pat Connaughton's guarding Jalen Brunson on an island. Damian Lillard is guarding Dante DiVincenzo on the right wing. Okay. And Dame just goes, screw it. I'm going to double. Okay. And he's now doubling off of one of the very best shooters in the league, as I keep saying, and a guy that's already made multiple shots recently. So he's in rhythm, just being unguarded. And what gave it away for me is here's Doc Rivers. Watch Doc Rivers' reaction. He's like, what are you doing? So is Dame randomly just impromptu double teaming Jalen Brunson off of one of the best shooters on the team? That doesn't make a ton of sense. That's freelancing. That's the opposite of game plan discipline. This is actually a funny one because Jalen misses this shot, but look at how Dame is just running in circles off of this fake from Jalen Brunson. Like he's just so comfortable working against him one-on-one. Here we go, same sort of thing. Dante DiVincenzo screen. Let's get Dame on a switch, and let's take Dame off the dribble for another bucket. Now, here's another example of Dame doing a soft switch and allowing Jalen Brunson to get ahead of steam. Here we go. So they're running up to set it, but Jalen actually turns the corner early, and Dame is just on his heels and has absolutely no chance with him coming at him like that. So again, I mean, that's like almost a dozen, what's that, like 10 to 12 baskets just in the second half of this game where they were just relentlessly picking on Dame whenever they got an opportunity. And like, it's just one of those things where like I talk about entry points, the idea of entry points, the idea there is like, this is how I get the defense in rotation, right? So like a loaded up defense, when we think about a loaded up defense, right? And we're going to see some example. Look, this is a good example right here. So this is a loaded up defense, right? So we have Giannis is ready. He's the low man. He's prepared if anybody gets behind Brook Lopez to kind of clean up the mess there. It is just a more difficult opportunity to score, right? But once you're in rotation, it's just drive and kick basketball. We saw that earlier. Dame ended up on OG Anunoby. Brook Lopez ended up on Dante DiVincenzo. It's like everyone's in cross matches. Everyone's just closing out on the next guy. Once you're in rotation, it's just a free-for-all, and your set defense doesn't really matter at all at that point. And so when you have an entry point, a guy like Dame, that you can consistently use to get the defense into rotation, then it mitigates the strengths of your set defense because they're not having to go against, your loaded up kind of scheme. Instead, it's just closeout, attack a closeout, find an open shot here, find an open shot there. That or you're on an island and he's just getting easy baskets over the top of Dame. And so that's kind of it's another problem that we run into with like the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have been an excellent defense all year, but they really struggle to get stops in crunch time. And a big part of that is like there's usually a guy in that lineup that you can pick on. And if you can pick on him, you can get the defense in rotation. If you get the defense in rotation, it's not Gobert waiting on you at the rim every single time, right? So like that's kind of the concept of that as an entry point. On offense, in this particular game, is just a lot of bad basketball from Dame and Giannis. They combined to go 5 for 15 from the field. I want to credit Dante DiVincenzo and OG Anunoby OG Anunoby just did a really nice job on Giannis, like sliding his feet, absorbing contact, and digging down at the basketball and kind of knocking it loose. Dante DiVincenzo did a really good job in ball pressure on Damian Lillard and chasing him over the top of screens. And then the Knicks bigs did a really good job getting up to the level of the screen and stopping those pull-up opportunities for Dame. Here are a couple clips just to show you the Knicks defense. We're just going to rip through these pretty quick. This is a transition run out from Giannis. Watch OG Anunoby absorb the blow from Giannis and force the turnover. He's going to try to attack, slides his feet, absorbs the contact, gets his hands in there, swipes it away. Exact same kind of thing here. Transition run out. Giannis looks to attack OG, absorb the contact, knock the ball loose. Here, Giannis is going to try to bully OG Anunoby, and he absorbs the contact enough for Mitchell Robinson to come over and help. Watch as he takes that contact. That slows down Giannis enough for Mitchell Robinson to get in there and get the block. I thought OG did a really nice job in this game. Here's Dante DiVincenzo staying attached. Look at the difference in effort getting over the top of the screen from Dante compared to that clip I showed you from Dame earlier. Gets over the top, and he doesn't foul, but he disrupts and forces Dame to shoot like a leaning forward jump shot, which is a much, much tougher jump shot. This time, Giannis gets a really good screen, but OG Anunoby ends up holding his ground and doing a really nice job sliding and staying in front of Dame and forcing the miss. Now let's talk about the bigs. This time, Isaiah Hartenstein is going to hold up on a switch against Dame and ISO, force him into a really tough step back. Here's the exact same thing in the first half of that game. Hartenstein on a switch against Dame, slides his feet, forces him into a tough step back. It's a really good contest, forces a miss. And then this is just incredible effort from Mitchell Robinson. We have a transition possession here. So off the Brunson miss, Bucks are running. Watch Mitchell Robinson. This is unbelievable. Watch Mitchell Robinson as soon as the ball is caught. He's sprinting back. Okay? Sprint. Now Portis is going to quick set a screen. Here's communication. Josh Hart, hey, he's getting ready to set the screen. He's telling him. Mitchell Robinson knows that Dame is an excellent shooter and he has to be in a high drop coverage. He has to be up at the level of the screen. He gets all the way around to that strong side. And then Dame takes the shot and Mitchell Robinson blocks it. We got to watch that in real time because this is just unbelievable effort from Mitchell Robinson and communication from the Knicks. Shot goes up, sprint. Josh Hart, communicate, get back over there. They're setting a pick up at the level, block the pull-up shot. Just unbelievable defense from Mitchell Robinson. I was really, really impressed with the Knicks all night. All right, last thing we're going to get into in this game before we move on is the Dame Giannis pick and roll. So the Knicks offense obviously really struggled down the stretch of this game too. They had just 48 points in the second half. And there's a concept I've been talking about a lot on this show this season having to do with the difference between cleared side actions and occupied corner actions. And how I always talk about how I like occupied corner actions with the top tier playmakers in the league. But for the lower level playmakers, I prefer cleared side actions because they can actually see the whole floor in front of them and they can make reads easier. Well, I wanted to show some plays to demonstrate that. So first of all, this is what the Bucks typically do. And to give you an example, I didn't count a single cleared side ball screen in this particular game. I had a really hard time just finding an example of them doing it the way that I want. I had to go way back into older games to find some examples that fit this. But here's what they were doing for the most part last night. And again, Bobby Portis is on this side of the floor, so it's occupied. Also, they're running the ball screen towards the sideline. Giannis is rolling into just a lot of traffic. So even when he catches here, but everything is on both sides of him. He's got to read a lot of space. Brook is behind him, for instance. And notice how he quickly hesitates and picks up his dribble. It's because he's not comfortable catching with the head of steam right there. Makes the kick out pass to Brook, and they're able to quickly rotate out of it, and the advantage is gone. And so that's an example as he's rolling into the middle of the floor. He's rolling into traffic. He's less confident, and it's less of an advantage for the Bucks. That play actually ends in a turnover as well. Here we go. Here's another one. Giannis sets the screen. Giannis doesn't even roll on this one. He just kind of, that's the same play, actually. Go to the next one. My bad, guys. So working out the kinks here. All right, so on this one, we get a good screen, but Giannis just doesn't roll. And so Giannis is like, he's not a spot-up threat there. If he rolls hard, he can be in this area, and even if Dame misses this layup like he does, Giannis is probably going to clean that up, but he just doesn't roll. That needs to happen. But same sort of thing, he'd be rolling into traffic if he did. Here's an example from the Pelicans game of them giving up on the roll to the rim. Jonas Valanciunas is able to make an easy rotation. So they're going to go a little dribble handoff with Dame here. Dame is then going to get the ball screen from Giannis after they botch that. Slips out of it. But again, he's rolling into traffic. He doesn't know what's happening behind him. He can't see any of this. And so Jonas is easily able to step up and disrupt this play at the rim because once again, he's rolling into too much traffic. So here's what it looks like when you run the same exact action the way that I'm asking on a cleared side. This one is actually in a little bit of transition. So Dame's running up the floor, but because of the way this is laid out, all three Bucks are on the weak side. So this is the exact configuration that I want. I want Dame working towards the middle, and I want Giannis rolling into all of this empty space. Because if he rolls into that empty space and he catches here, he can have a head of steam, but see the entire floor in front of him and not have to worry about what's going on behind him. In this case, he rolls into the open space. He didn't have to worry about someone tagging. He can see all that. If Nicholas Batum came up, he'd literally be able to see this happen. Everything's in front of him. He's rolling into open space. Same sort of thing here. Because Connaughton cuts through, we have a cleared side on this side of the floor. Giannis sets the screen. Now he's rolling into open space. Watch when he catches here. So Giannis catches. Philly's still loaded up. But they're loaded up in a way that is completely in front of Giannis. He can see everything. And so he's able to quick make a decision here. Like, I can turn the corner on Tobias easily just by dropping my right shoulder. So he gets downhill, just drops his right shoulder and finish. It's just an easier decision for him to make when he catches in open space as opposed to in traffic. One more example. Same sort of thing here. Crowder, Lopez, and Malik Beasley all on the weak side. Giannis is going to set the pick and roll into open space. As he's rolling into open space, once again, he can identify everything happening on the floor. In this case, James Harden is the guy that's got to tag him. It's just an easy lob and finish for Giannis at the rim. So again, the key that I'm getting at here is getting Giannis the ball, but with a head of steam and with all the defense in front of him so that he can easily make reads. And if you do it on the cleared side where he rolls into the short corner, it's just a lot easier for him than when you have him rolling into the middle of the floor with all that traffic. And I'm glad that we were able to finally give you guys kind of a visual representation of what I was talking about.